All right, welcome back to the third part of One Man's Faith. We're looking at the seven areas of influence that influence us or we influence, and we need to be a part of influencing them rather than us being influenced by them. And we were looking at education. I showed you a little that little video of the questions that were asked. They knew stuff coming out of Hollywood, but they didn't know about stuff that really mattered. Who is our vice president? You know, there's another one similar to that, and the girl shows a picture, and she says, "Who is this?" It's a picture of Joe Biden. And she shows him, and someone even said, "Is that Richard Nixon?" We have got to get involved. If you hear nothing else, hear that. We have got to be involved. Paul says that our weapons of our warfare are not fleshly, but they are powerful for the destruction of fortresses. The destruction of fortresses actually is a translation that is the demolition of castles. And what it really means is this: the destruction of logic. You see, we allow logic to control, and in many cases, logic is illogical. We can't go by what appears to be right. Things can be deceiving. Matter of fact, the Bible even says that Satan comes and appears as an angel of light. So he brings knowledge. So get involved. Get involved in the educational system. Get involved with taking your church out and influencing the culture. Let's have Christian music. Let's have Christian concerts in the park. Let's be a part of Fall Festival. Let's have booths in the Fall Festival proclaiming the gospel. Let's have booths in the festival that people can come in and be prayed over. And be prayed over for healing. Let's get involved. Now, Proverbs 14 says, righteousness exalts a nation, but sin is a disgrace to any people. I've heard too many people say, well, I don't want to be in politics, it's corrupt. It's corrupt because we're not getting involved in changing it. Everything does not have to go to hell in a handbasket. It's up to us. I know you know the story. In Genesis, God comes to Abraham, and he decides he's going to he's talking about, well, should I share with Abraham what I'm about to do? And I'm trying to find it because I wasn't planning to go here. But God comes to Abraham, and like in verse 17 of chapter 18, and the Lord said, shall I hide from Abraham what I'm about to do? Since Abraham will surely become a great and mighty nation, and in him all the nations of the earth will be blessed. For I have chosen him in order that he may command his children and his household after him to keep the way of the Lord by doing righteousness and justice. And the Lord said, the outcry of Sodom and Gomorrah is great indeed, and their sin is exceedingly grave. I will go down now and see if they have done entirely according to its outcry, which has come to me, and if not, I will know. And the men turned away from there and went towards Sodom while Abraham was still standing before the Lord. And Abraham said, will you indeed sweep away the righteous with the wicked? Now see, a lot of people believe that we're no different from the world, so therefore we're not going to escape. But right here, Abraham says, will you indeed sweep away the righteous with the wicked? Suppose there are 50 righteous within the city. Will you indeed sweep it away and not spare the place for the sake of 50 righteous who are in it? Far be it from me to do such a thing, to slay the righteous with the wicked, so that the righteous and the wicked are treated alike. Far be it from you. Shall not the judge of all the earth deal justly? So the Lord said, if I find 50 righteous within the city, then I will spare it. You see, Abraham says, listen, the righteous and the wicked are different. Will you truly sweep away the righteous with the wicked? And God didn't say, well, yes, I will, because they're the same. He said, no, if you can find 50 righteous in Sodom and Gomorrah, I won't destroy it. And Abraham went on down 40, 30, 20, and finally he said, Lord, if I can find 10? And God said, if you can find 10, I won't destroy it. Now, it's interesting that Abraham didn't say, well, what about 5? You see, 10 is a number for government. And so to have a righteous government, you've got to have 10. To have any form of government, really, you're supposed to have 10. But in God's economy, 10. And see, that's how ecclesia deals with this. An assembly of 10 can change the world. But we've got to understand that the earth doesn't have to go downhill. It's up to you and me. God has given us that responsibility. He has given us the earth to control, to rule. And we do that through prayer. And so the end coming, hey, it's going to be sometime in the future. But nobody can say for sure. And anybody who says, oh, it's just around the corner, well, how big is the corner? Paul has been saying that since he wrote these books in the Bible. So, Paul said a couple times, the Lord's coming soon. Well, we are closer, but we don't know. There are things that have to happen first before that can happen. So get involved. Help, let's change. Let's make America great again. It can be done, but we have got to buckle down. We can't expect the government to give us everything. They're going to give us, or they're going to try to. One is running who says that they are going to install 500 million solar panels for electricity. That supposedly, I think that many can supply America with all its power. But listen, that sounds cool, that sounds neat, and yeah, I could see it could be done, not now, because the cost is too much. If you think a $200 electric bill from Valley Electric is high, if she goes that direction, then your electric bill will be a minimum of $200. It will probably range more in the $600 to $700 category because they have to recoup the cost to put solar panels in. Solar panels are not cheap. They cost. While it may cost let's say 8 cents a kilowatt hour on the fossil fuel type electricity that we generate now, it can well go over 26 or 25 cents a kilowatt hour if we go solar. Unless, of course, the government's going to subsidize it, but then there goes our money again. You see, we've got to be involved. We've got to understand these concepts. We've got to understand this. The reason our electricity has been kind of increasing is because we've had to take in other types of generating facilities that cost more. And so they've got to balance out what that cost is to what the cost of the fossil fuel is, and they blend it together to give you the amount you're paying now. If the fossil part is dropped, which is, let's say, 3 to 4, maybe 5 cents a kilowatt hour, and we have to go strictly solar, or solar maybe mixed with a little bit of cogeneration, or not cogeneration, biofuel, you're still going to look at a very high rate for your electricity. And if that scares you, it should. We've got to understand what the cost will be. Oh, but we'll save the environment. You might, but it's going to take a while, and are you going to be able to afford electricity to be able to eat while we're waiting for that to happen? Think about that. I got to take a break. So let's take this final break, and I'll be right back.